never make it this far. They hated, they never believe me. Yeah, I would never drop the ball. I know I make it look easy. Yeah, Mayweather with the defense. I don't care what a critic gotta say. I got them picking up the pieces. That to me, you really playing with your life. I'm about to come and run it all back. I'm the new era, about to snap back. You ain't fitting for it, cause you all cap like.
Welcome back to the Stuck in My Thoughts podcast. It's the place you want to be to hear one-of-a-kind POV. As always, I'm your host, Justin Stuckey. In today's point of view, we've gone out of state. We're in Atlanta at the TNT studios with the one and only. Welcome to the show, Mr. Takeo Spikes. How you doing, my guy?
What's up? What's happening?
It's been a minute. We finally got it on.
We did. It took long enough.
Yeah.
You know, it was a lot of it was due to my side, just trying to make sure schedules align. But I got to commend you, though. I keep my eyes and ears close to the streets, and I just see you still chopping wood daily. So shout out to you for being consistent, for being persistent, and that's why we're here today.
So I appreciate it. My first time meeting you was at the Georgia-Auburn game. It may have been my second year at Auburn, and we were up in the Broadway Club. I was not supposed to be there, but if you know me, I'm going to make a way. Got a chance to meet you.
A sophomore at the Broadway Club.
Hey, I'm just saying. I was up there.
And for the record, this is like
the
best seats in the house.
Best seats in the house. Me, you, Chuck, everybody was up there.
Yeah.
So it was a great time. But my first time hearing your name was a video that I saw on social media years ago. And if you can tell by the jersey that's laying before us, I'm a huge Eagles fan. The first ever video I saw was when you said, "Spikes, I'm going to take his soul." Huh? I'm going to take his soul.
Yeah.
I want to see how bad he wants to play.
Oh, yeah, Brian Dawkins, man.
I like B. Dawkins. That video right there, it took the cake for me. So just to go back in time, how did a toe drag on street ball playing football turn into a 15-year NFL career?
I was just inspired. I was inspired by, the toe drag on the side, and just after catching that at such a young age, and people turning to me afterwards and was like, "Hey, man, he can ball, man." All it takes is that one compliment, that one catching. And so from that, it was like, all right, let me see, can I do it again? So now it was me versus me. How many times can you do something in order to catch one of your partner's eyes? Because, we always don't keep it 100 with each other. And then it became an internal game, like me versus me. All right, let me see, can I do it 2 days, 3 days? Then days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. And then you see other people who come before you, and you see, okay, that's what success looks like. Okay, if he can do that, surely I can do it. Mm-hmm. And so it just kind of started to go over and over, and then the compound effect turned into, before you know it, you look up and it's like, damn, man, this is my 15th year in the NFL. And I used to do this, especially once I got to year 10. If you on the roster the first day of the league year and you make that first roster the first week of the game, like you good, like you credited, you got the year.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I got their ass again. Got them again, another year for retirement. All of that's backing up, padding the stats on the back end. So that's how it turned into a 15-year career.
You talk about being around those guys in the community. For me, you had those guys who were older than you that you always looked up to. You also had people in the pros or the college level that you looked up to. Who were the people in the athletic space that you looked up to going up through the ranks?
I had a lot of close individuals. Robert Edwards. He was initially the first one that was in my circle. Before we get to Robert, I think of, rest in peace, Bryce Hunter. Our coach took us to a Georgia football game, and I saw wide receiver Bryce Hunter, and I just saw how big he was, and I was like, damn, he's a receiver. So I was like, all right, I got to start getting into the weight room. Then I see Randall Godfrey. He was a linebacker. All of these guys, they were coached by my high school coach. And I was like, okay, if he did this and he got there, okay, I'm going to follow the blueprint. And then right close to me, Robert Edwards. You know, sometimes you just don't know how good you are. Mm-hmm. And so I was waking up every day chasing that and wasn't settling on somebody giving me a compliment. So to be able to play with Robert Edwards, he ended up signing with Georgia. He was 2 years ahead of me. He signed with Georgia and very talented. And he slipped off the board. He wasn't on the radar for a lot of coaches. But in the end, as we started winning and we changed the culture in Washington County, that's when everybody came. And so when they came to see him, it was always, oh, okay, who is this 81? Mm-hmm. He kind of making flashes. And so that's those are some of the guys like who I really looked up to get me to where I'm at.
Yeah, you talk about going to the Georgia game and seeing how big the receivers were.
Yeah.
I was a football player too back in my day.
Yeah, I saw the bio.
I was getting recruited by Ole Miss at the time, and RIP to Hugh's tenure at Auburn, but Hugh Freeze was the coach at the time. Supposed to go up there the day before I get to go up there. News breaks. Hugh gets fired from Ole Miss. Everybody knows what happened. I still go. The coaches tell me to come down. I get there, and I have no knowledge about who's on the Ole Miss football team at all. I get in line. I'm about to do my stuff, and they want me to go through some drill work. And I go up to these two dudes, and I'm standing there with them, and I'm thinking they're on defense. You know who those two dudes were? AJ Brown and DK Metcalf. I was like, receiver not go. I said, football not gonna work for me.
Nah, this ain't for me.
I said, this ain't for me. I was sliding though. I ran a 4.45, my fastest 40 ever.
Yeah.
But I said, this right here, it is not for me.
Oh nah, you definitely you were surrounded by two of the biggest SEC receivers of all time.
Yeah, they were dogs. They were monsters. But when you were coming up and you got to do your Auburn visit, it was during the Iron Bowl.
Yep.
Correct?
Yep.
Mine was also during the Iron Bowl. That experience is 10 out of 10. What was it like for you back then?
I had no idea what I was getting myself into. To be honest with you, I didn't even know where Auburn was at. And I went my sophomore year. No, I went my junior year because it was in 93. Yes, my junior year. And I went, and this is the year when that was Terry Bowden's first year. Every day you getting something in the mail, 1-0, 2-0, 3-0. And I'm like, who the hell is this Auburn team? I went and I just saw they just had some, I'm talking about like cats on the back end defensively in the secondary. They was just like, man, we taking your lunch. You throw it up in the air, we got this. And I love how they played defensively. The secondary was really the highlight of the team, you know, on the defensive side. But then going to that first game, to your point, I go to the Iron Bowl and I see James Bostic breaks along, and it was just a toss play, but I just saw the physical style, the brand of football, and it was similar to what we played at Washington County. And I was like, I never thought about coming here, but I'm looking at this atmosphere, people yelling, you know, you got people drunk, and they were still well organized, and I'm like, man, these folks really love ball over here.
Yeah.
And so then I was like, all right, 11-0. Then I was like, okay, let me see what happens next year. Then that 94 year, they went 9-1-1. Only lost to, who was it? Georgia. Maybe Georgia. I think they lost to Georgia. No, they tied with Georgia. Anyway, but I was like, the level of consistency was there. So from that point, I was like, I'm really looking at them. And, you know, I met up with Rodney Garner. And once you meet with Rodney Garner, I guess it's a wrap.
It's a wrap.
It's a wrap. It's just, he knew, not that he knew what to say, but he just knew what you needed. And he was able to convey that to you, articulate that in a manner to where it's like, you good if you come here. So, and that's how I got on the planes.
Love the story. And you always hear there's no I in team, but there is an M in MVP.
Yep.
In an SEC championship, you take away MVP in an L. I don't know how often that happens. Being able to go up against Peyton Manning and that team, just the accumulation of your time in college football, what do you think people either then or now remember most about you while you were playing for the Tigers?
Striving for perfection, being relentless. That was a big thing. And I think my play just exuded, I love doing what I came there to do. And I think that's what people will remember most, the ability to make the game-changing play when we needed a play. You know, now looking back on it, that was always a thing that was very timely, especially in the SEC championship game. Finished that game with damn near 15 tackles, like 2 forced fumbles, both picking up, taking back for a touchdown, and we lost the game. And so, you know, it's sometimes I do wonder, now what if we would have won it? You know, I felt like if that was the case, then I probably would have won the Buckets. A lot of things are political, but people know, like, you know, I probably go down, like I've done a lot of cool shit, like, but I still feel like I don't know if people really know the magnitude it really hit at just because you don't have a championship attached with it.
Yeah.
Kind of like Charles Barkley somewhat.
Yeah, and it shouldn't diminish the legacy.
No, not at all.
Because it's a team game, but people do have a certain perspective on stuff. But you always hear when you're growing up, and I couldn't stand when people say this, especially to the younger generation of athletes. They say they have a dream, they want to go to NFL. You have people that be like, you know, it's only less than 1%. They get to do it, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But you were a part of that less than 1%. The goal, achieving the goal of making it to the NFL, how much of that was for you and how much of that was for knowing what it could do for your family and changing their lives and the dynamic of the generations to come?
It never was about my family. I never was motivated for the money aspect. The money was a plus.
Mm-hmm.
And I can truly sit here and say that because it was all about a dream that I was chasing. It was about a dream that I conveyed and articulated to my parents. And they were like, all right, so if this is what you really want, what you gonna do to get it? Mm-hmm. Now, if you say that's what you want, these are the parameters that we're gonna operate in. So they really set me up for success by, like, I had chores I had to do, but like football time, they was like, all right, summertime, like we training for football when grass be growing like high as hell in Georgia. My daddy was like, all right, instead of you cutting the grass and I know you got to go work out and everything, I want you to be fresh because I want 100% there. So I'm gonna give you a few weeks off from cutting the grass. So it was things of that nature that they set me up. So when I never played it for the money, I just played it to be great. I wanted to be one of the greatest ever to play the game. And now looking back at it, like it all makes sense because I have both now. Mm-hmm. You know, I think a lot of kids today, and I get it, you know, NIL is dominating as it should. But if your goal is to play a game or to do anything for the money, I never wanted to be that person controlled by the dollar. I tell my daughter to this day, I was like, at the end of the day, when you lay your head on that pillow, the integrity can't be compromised. And so if you chase a dollar and that's your life's goal, the dollar will manipulate you. You're going to be challenged. And so what are you really going to do after you attain that? Because if that's the only thing that motivates you, man, you've hit your ceiling. Mm-hmm. And I didn't want a glass ceiling over my head. So for me, the goal was to maximize all that I possibly could be as that individual player in person. And then I was fortunate enough to get on the back end to receive the dollars.
Yeah. What do you do, though, at that point in time? I don't know what your family situation, what your money situation was before that point. But when you get to the league, you're making money. How do you manage that when you didn't have that before?
You get good advisors. You get good people around you. But in every, for the most part, I would think a lot of people do, especially when you're new money. But you got to listen. Like, it's your money, but you got to listen. And even when you don't think about or don't want to listen, you got to listen. Give you a good story. I remember they used to come in the locker room. Just had turned 21 with Cincinnati, and they was talking about the 401k. And as a youngster, I'm like, yeah, you put 25,000 in, they'll put 50. You put 50 in, they'll put 100. So for me, not knowing, just being ignorant as hell, I'm over here thinking, man, black men ain't living until about 60, so ain't no need of me just saving this money for what? I might as well just spend it while I'm living. And I had one of my OGs, he was like, don't you ever say that dumb out loud again, ever. I know you don't know, but at least consult with somebody before you sit here, because you are very influential. And if other guys hear that, they're going to take that lead. So I was like, okay. But I say, I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you got to listen, is my point.
I understand that. That's actually really funny right there. You mentioned your daughter and telling her about having the integrity aspect. You approached the game of football in such a manner to where it's preparation and you're focused on being all pro, all SEC, and trying to be in the Hall of Fame. How did you try that same approach in a father role? That's completely different.
That is. Father role is different. And it's like parenting is one-on-one. You do what you do what you like that was done for you. Mm-hmm. But then the things that you didn't like, you don't do that. Yeah. But that's rough copy. But it's a lot of back and forth, especially when you have a daughter. And for me, it's trial and error, bro. I'm thankful and blessed enough to come out of a 2-parent home, and but more than anything, just to have the love from both parents and to be on the same page. So that was one thing that I always tried to give to my daughter. We clashed and bumped heads a lot, but looking back at it, that's the reason why we so tight and strong today. So I give a lot of credit to my parents for kind of instilling that inside of me, and then just having enough awareness as a young parent and understanding, like, all right, maybe you need to look at it this way because that's the way she sees it, versus always trying to be dominant, because you want to allow your kids to grow to be their individual selves. And that was the hardest part. It's just like, hey, not only does she has a thought and opinion, but she needs to be heard too. I'm not saying that you got to do what she's saying, but at least take it into consideration, because things don't really manipulate until what you really want them to, until you get ownership out of it from the other parties. Mm-hmm. And that was the biggest thing that I learned in parenthood is, all right, how do you see it? Okay, now you buying into it. Now let me give you ownership, and now I can hold you accountable, and you can hold me accountable too.
Was the approach different? You said you came from a 2-parent household. How was it difficult being able to raise a child without that same similar dynamic? What do you think?
Well, me and her mother, we both raised her. So, just when football season was over, it was just like, all right, you finna spend time with your daddy now. So we did a wonderful job. Like, her mother, like, looking back on it now, we did our thing. So I give a lot of credit to her. She was a very good mother, very good mother. And to be able to have the dynamic, because you know how it is, you get kids, and kids just don't be kids. You can You can have one trying to manipulate one parent against the other. But despite it all, like, we raised a beautiful young daughter. She's got her head on straight. She's doing well for herself.
Yeah, she was just nominated for TV Personality of the Year.
TV Personality of the Year.
You got my vote, Jakai.
In Chattanooga, you got several votes from me. I don't want to say that out loud too much because they might be like, hold up, let me see how many times this cat voted.
Yeah.
Different IP address.
Yeah, shout out to Jakai, though. She did a big work of helping get this set up, so I want to give her a special shout out. I asked her some months ago as I was preparing for this, just give me some insight. What was your dad like? What does he do? And she gave me a funny story about your disciplinary actions as a parent. She said one time you'd make her go to school in high-watered pants or something to say, it's not about the looks, it's about getting your grades. What's the approach on the disciplinary for Takeo Spikes?
Well, I got belt to ass when I was growing up. And I had to realize, you can't be out here just being your daughter like that. I had to give her a tune-up a few times. But one of the things that I used to do was, okay, so since you want to do that, and you don't supposed to be doing that. So what we going to do is, we finna run around the neighborhood. I'm going to run you. And you going to be in shape. The best female in shape that doesn't even participate in sport. So I used to have her running early in the morning before school and have her running after school. We gonna run the neighborhood, we gonna run the hills, and I used to put her on a time clock. Mm-hmm. That way when she ran it completely one time, I got a good baseline. So then, if she tried to dog it on me or be slower.
Gotta go again.
I was like, oh no, you walked some of the way. How you know you didn't see me? I saw your time. So you better get your ass up there and let's get to running. But that's what brought the discipline, that's what brought us closer together. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Those was good times. I remember one time, as guys, we just put some jeans on and everything. But I was like, man, just put the jeans on. They was high water, baggy. And she was like, Daddy, I can't go to school like this. This is how boys dress. And I was like, well, just keep the boys away. That's all right. You don't need to have them after you anyway.
They don't need to be over there anyway.
Yeah, she used to hate that. She used to tell her mama. Then her mama used to come hook her up. Be like, all right, I got you straight now.
Yeah. That's what's up. I love that. And as a father figure, you want to be a role model for not just only your daughter, but for a lot of the young generation out there. And one thing that I want to applaud you for, and I thought was significant, is the fact that you went back to get your degree. Your undergrad degree, then went to get your MBA as well. And honestly, you're the reason I put in my bio Justin Stuckey MBA like that. I was like, I got it. You want people to see it.
Yeah, absolutely.
In society,
close enough.
Go ahead.
No, you do. And I'll let you ask your question.
I was just saying, in society, especially for the Black community, the dream is always something related to athletics. It's never really, I want to dream to get my MBA. I want to dream to finish my degree. Why was that so important for you just to go back to finish after you've already achieved at that point what your true dream was?
Education can't be taken away from you. Wisdom is everything. And I feel like you get to the wisdom part after you've been educated about what you want to do. My mother always urged me to go back, and I didn't get it. But honestly, when I retired, you get in a rut. I'm so structured. I retired at 36, 29 years out of 36 years of living at that time. I had played organized sport. And so for me just to go cold turkey and not have any structure as far as the responsibilities of, all right, what's next today? Because for so many years, I had people, you wake up, they tell you what time to wake up. You see the schedule. Everything is laid out for you. Now you have to be your own author of your own autobiography. And so that was tough, but the reason why I'm so grateful that happened is because it just gave me a bigger perspective on how the monster worked. And what I refer to as the monster is sport in general. Whether or not if it's NFL, we all enjoy NFL, NBA, any sport by looking at the players. But what I needed to know and what I was chasing was, how does all of this work in the background? How do you even come up to say, you know what, each team is going to be on a salary cap? How do you create a salary cap? So it was just the curiosity is what drove me to go back. And to be quite honest with you, it was the best thing that I ever done, because I understood how we as athletes were leveraged. I understood how many people get paid off of you going out there, risking your life, and you look at the waterfall flow of revenue, you got people 10 places removed who's capitalizing off of what you do. And I'm like, and I don't even get a piece of it? I was like, oh no. Y'all been good off of me for years. So nah, I'm gonna change it. And so I went back and I got that. I finished school, finished at Auburn, and then some of my homeboys, they was talking about getting the MBA. Did I really want to, was that like that my life aspiration? Hell no, I didn't want. I'm like, man, I ain't good. I told my mom, I'm not going back to school for what? But I went because of the competitive drive that I had or I didn't have at the time. Y'all going to get an MBA. There's no way in hell I'm going to let you go and I don't get one. And then I'm sitting around while y'all talking about it, and I did it. And that was the best thing because it really just showed me the how and the why of how certain industries work. And to this day, that it's changed my life and it's changed my approach. And, you know, how I'm a parent towards my daughter. You know, I've always told her in life, and this is when I was going through school, don't you ever wake up chasing the money. Because if you do, your pillow will be compromised every night. Do what you enjoy doing. Don't worry about the money. Do what you enjoy doing, and the money will come. And it's going to come at a rate to where you won't be able to spend all of it either. You know, she was, I was consistently telling her that. So from my experience going back, getting the MBA, I knew if I could just tell her that, she would be okay. Because I knew, like, I got you. Mm-hmm. You won't be all right. You just need to get through the tough parts, the time what you're going through now. This is all part of, like, that's going to build you up to even who you are going to become. And so that was the big key, and that was the main reason why I went back and got educated. Yeah,
one of the big words you used in that was perspective. And I was reading and researching. After you finished your third year in the NFL, you figured out about your father's diagnosis. And when you're in a career where it's so physical, you're in control of the defense, and then you have a situation where you're not in control at all. How did your perspective change when you got that news and there's nothing right at that moment you can do?
Yeah, my father, he was diagnosed with glioblastoma, cancerous tumor in the brain. And, you know, I remember my mother, she called me and she was like, you need to come home. And I'm like, for what? She was like, your dad ain't feeling good. Now, you talking about a Southern man, you know, grew up mining chalk operations, you know, kaolin, natural substance found in the ground here in Georgia. Just a hard Southern man. And my mama telling me I need to come home, he ain't feeling well. So I didn't even ask why. I hung the phone up, broke down crying. Because I knew this man here is tougher than damn woodpecker lips. I've never seen him have a common cold. Like, that's how tough he is. And to hear that diagnosis and to find out that it wasn't curable, and people usually die within 9 to 12 months, the perspective or the seat that I sat in at the moment was like, what can you do? Just made it to the NFL. I had money. You know, I had enough money, but it's like, I would give everything I had to change that perspective of what I was going through or what I was seeing with my father. And that was the first time I realized, like, man, I don't care if you had $1 billion. There's nothing you can do to save your father. And that hurt. That hit different. And so it gave me that perspective of, life is short, and take advantage of every opportunity when you can, when you're around people that's sowing a seed in you. And so from that, I look at life different. I joke about it with the toast that I have sometimes with some of my friends. Life is short. Vacations are shorter. So let's live life to the fullest. And that's been my perspective since then, because you never do know. We all on borrowed time.
What do you think your father would say to you now if he saw the journey you've been on since that time?
Called me Key Man. He was like, Key Man, he probably would just say, good job, but you still got to keep going. We ain't gonna sit and he'll give you a compliment, but you ain't gonna lather in it. That one compliment was everything, but I could hear him just saying, job well done, but the work is not finished.
Yeah. You put in a lot of work during your time in the league. I saw a story. You broke your hand, had surgery on a Monday, and you played on a Thursday.
Yep.
Can you talk about the physicality and the toughness it takes to really play at that level that you did?
Yeah, that was, looking back at it, you gotta be crazy, man.
Yeah, you do.
Like, I broke my hand on a Sunday, had surgery on a Monday, and was back playing Thursday night in a Thursday night game on a short week. And I guess it goes to show you how much I love it. Because I didn't have to play. I could have been like, but to me, it's like, I just love the game, man. Mm-hmm. I love the game, and it's a level of toughness that I wanted to be known for. And I wanted people to understand. I wanted my teammates more than anything to know, like, man, listen, man, yeah, we all being compensated, but like, this is how you hit different. Like, this is how you're gonna be remembered differently. Mm-hmm. And that was the goal.
Yeah. That was, you were, you've gotten smaller, but you're still a big dude. But back then, like a tank on the football field. Just training regimen when you're going through like the week, especially during the season, like how much are you actually lifting at that point? Because you've already built up a foundation.
Yeah, that was always my foundation. Coming up through high school was bigger, faster, stronger. That was the cheat code for me. And with the desire that I had, and then being regimented and diligent about the little things, working out, recovery, and everything, that had a big, hell, that's why I lasted for 15 years. By the grace of God too as well. But you just, I used to treat a hangnail as if it was a hamstring. Like, if anything felt off, I'm stopping everything and giving it my full attention. Mm-hmm. That was my thought process.
Yeah. You go through and you have an epic career, as you mentioned, and you look back, though, you hear all the talks about the head injuries and CTE. If you could go back, would you still do it again, knowing the risk?
That's a good question. I would. I would do it. Listen, I had an opportunity to change the trajectory of the Spikes family several generations. From, I call it the modern day lashings that I took, and I think at any time anyone sets out to be great, from that first generation that starts it, it's a lot that you're going to have to go through and a lot of sacrifice. And if this is what I have to go through in order to change my family's trajectory, I'm okay with that.
Yeah. It's all about the vision you have for yourself and for your family. And speaking of vision, there was a time where your vision was a little bit shortened at the Bills game. They put you in the box kind of to the left. Did they make up for that? Like what was the thing? I saw the video. I was like, well, I got my dog. He can't even see. He's like,
yeah, man. It was, what made me mad about that? Marv Levy was there the week prior, and they was like, well, Marv sat up here, and I was like, how could you put Marv Levy up there? Like, Marv Levy is the reason why I had a Buffalo jersey when I was younger. And you want the most winningest coach in franchise history, you gonna put it? No. You ain't finna have me up here either. I mean, we know how the story ended up. I bolted on him. But have we made up? Absolutely, we have. And I had a good talk with Brandon Bean, the GM. Couple other folks there too. So we got something shaking.
yeah,
It's
gonna run it back.
no, we're gonna run it back.
Yeah.
We're gonna run it back. But I think more than anything, just having the awareness. I think what came out of that, a lot of guys, I've received a lot of texts from a lot of guys saying, thank you.
Because they've experienced that?
Because they experienced it. And for me, it's like a closed mouth doesn't get fed.
They know that's my saying. Closed mouths don't eat, dog.
So for me, I'm like, listen, I'm at a point in life now, you ain't doing me no favors. So like, if I'm gonna come rock with you, make sure it's up to par. That's with anything. Like, if I ask you to come do something, I'm gonna make sure it's top notch. Like we can all choose to spend our time where we want it to be. And in this digital age of having so many things at your fingertips, like, you can do anything in the comforts and the confinement of your home and be just as good. So if I ask you to do something, I expect for it to be like top notch, worth me leaving my house.
Yeah.
And I think more than anything, that's what we came to an agreement together, a consensus of, like, it's a certain way that legends are supposed to be treated.
Keep that bond close, and you're making a new bond here, TNT, college football, Big 12. Shout out to the crew.
Yeah.
Got a chance to meet Vic before we started this. Just how's that experience been? Like, what do you enjoy the most about this opportunity?
It's been great. Really been great. I love the crew that I'm working with. That always helps. Victor, Cruz, Champ Bailey, Adam Lefko. The thing about it is we're all fans of the game. And when you look at our broadcast, that is what jumps out for me and I think that'll jump out to anybody else. These guys just love ball. And pause. But
Pause.
You know what I mean? But we love the game.
We love football.
We love football. And like, that's the thing. And we all actually like each other too. So, and I think what separates Turner from any other media group, they really seek to show everyday fans, our guys are no different than you. They played the game, but we're going to bring you inside of our locker room and just show you and let you hear, like, how we see it from an entertainment perspective. And I think that's what really separates us, being fans of the game, but then also like, hey, man, let's truly talk about what we see, because we don't rehearse. Like, everything, or every question that's being asked, that's straight, like, off the cuff. And so I think it's something to that.
Mm-hmm. Going into just the college football in general, me and you are both Auburn brothers, and we don't have a coach right now. I've said who I wanted to be the coach. Who do you think is going to be the new Auburn head coach?
Well, I don't know. A few names that I like: Eli Drinkwitz, Brent Key.
That's my pick.
I really like both of those guys. I think they bring something that we need. And Coach Summerall down at Tulane. I like from the building aspect of what he's doing, of what he's done over the years, and everywhere he goes, he wins, and people speak so highly of him. And I'm talking about from the high school athlete, the high school coach. And he stays in tune with the younger kids in the game. So I think that has value, huge value, which we need. So, those are three candidates. I would say my top three candidates.
Mm-hmm. We're going to see what they decide to rock with. Cohen, do us justice. All right, Takeo, we're winding down here on Stuck in My Thoughts. You know the name of the show, and I ask everybody that comes on, what do you get stuck in your thoughts about?
I do. I get stuck in my thoughts on sometimes just living in the past. And living in the past meaning, what if? I give you a prime example. A lot of people didn't know that great research by you with me winning the MVP of the SEC championship game, but we lost. What if we would have won that game? What if me getting drafted to Atlanta one pick away versus going to Cincinnati, which was the next pick? Atlanta went to the Super Bowl in 98, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, 98. So my rookie year. So it's like, and I'm a homegrown product. You know what I mean? So sometimes I do get stuck in my thoughts with that. Which they be good thoughts that usually comes with a cold adult beverage. So you can sit back and really enjoy it. But, after it's all over with, said and done, I have no regrets. None whatsoever. I've done some cool things in my lifetime and still doing them. So
you golfing with Usher, Chris Tucker, all them folks out there. I seen you.
Yeah, man. Pudge Rodriguez. You know what I mean? So it's what the cool thing is the reason why how I do get stuck in my thoughts and the reason why I don't stay stuck in my thoughts. Ballers respect ballers. And once you're done, your legacy speaks for itself. And that's the cool thing about being at the age of where I'm at now, out of the game. Guys come up and be like, hey, man, I appreciate what you did for the game. To me, that means more than anything, because you left a lasting impact and I call it a stain. I left a stain on your memory. Yeah. And you will forever remember that by the way that I went out and approached the game. So, I guess I'm okay with being stuck in my thoughts on that.
Yeah, ain't nothing wrong with that.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
And I get stuck in my thoughts. That's why I keep sitting down with guests every time I can get a chance to. And I've started to ask my guests, who should come on the show next? Who in your network do you think should come on the show?
You got Chuck yet?
If Chuck would text me back, we'll be good. I talked to Chuck like a month ago about coming on the show. So we working on that one.
Yeah.
Working on Chuck.
Yeah, I like that. I think Charles should be next. I'll hit him too. I mean, we are at Turner, right?
We here.
Technically, they're not at Turner no more, but they...
Yeah, we know where that loyalty lies.
Yeah, we know where they shoot at.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's the next one.
Hey, Chuck. Do your boy solid.
Holla at your boy, Chuck.
Hey, we just talked about this in due time. That's all I say, in due time. Takeo, I appreciate you stopping by.
Hey, man, I'm glad to be off the hot seat.
Oh, Make sure you guys go ahead, like, comment, subscribe. Keep up with all things Stuck in My Thoughts. Keep up with Takeo.
Yes.
We out of here.
Whoa. Who knew I would make it this far? They hated, they never believe me. Yeah, I would never drop the ball. I know I make it look easy. Yeah.